Today we're going to talk about the Loft. The function of this brace is to decrease the load going through the medial arch. It can help with pathology like plantar fasciitis, posterior tibial tendon dysfunction, arch collapse, and even pain in the medial arch. If you look at this top part, this is what we call the power strap. This is the medial side, this is the lateral side. The power strap pulls up and across, creating that arch and decreasing the load going through the arch on the medial side. If you look at from the bottom, that we've cut this out, this is called a floating arch. So for people with large insides of medial arches, high arches, low arches, this can contour through the material on the inside. This can contour to the foot. The arch can go into this area, and whether it's a high arch or a low arch protruding, the power strap can then come across and pull across to support that arch. We used laces on this. Now that might seem like a fairly mundane thing to say, but we tried with a BOA system, we tried with elastic, and laces were way more intuitive for people, and you got a better conformity or fit to the foot. When you're looking at this, you can see that if you open these laces up, the tongue is attached to the inside of this brace via stitches, and that allows it to conform over the foot and provide a cylindrical anchor. We have an anchor up the top, we have an anchor down the bottom, and an anchor around the foot. This is meant to replicate low dye taping. You can see when you look at the outside that we have these different zones. This is like a cable, this is a cable, and then you have a zone of stretch in between these cables. Now you'll have more stretchy zones to allow the foot to go in and for this to conform to the foot. So because it has a form of elasticity to it, it's going to tighten and cinch up around your foot. And then these cables provide the structure. We placed these cables on the same angles as a low dye tape. So these cables basically create a fulcrum to cinch, and then if you look at the inside, these cables replicate where the taping would go if you were doing a low dye taping. The inside of this brace is meant to sit in behind that first metatarsal head. That's where a low dye taping would go, and that allows the metatarsal head to still have movement and also to allow movement through the forefoot. Imagine this is like a suspension bridge. When this anchor up the top of the brace and the anchor down the bottom of the brace are secure, and you pull this brace up and across, that allows the arch to deform against the stress of the brace. This brace is different to an orthotic. It unloads the tissue. An orthotic pushes up against the load of the tissue. So it's an important differentiation to make. The fabric is a 3D knit and it has a four-way stretch. That four-way stretch allows it to move and to expand based on your foot. So that 3D knit goes in between each of these cables and just has a beautiful amount of extensibility, so you can stretch it out, and then also a really nice amount of contractility. So you can see that the increase in these zones, there are particular zones of stretch and there are particular zones of non-stretch. This cable does not stretch. In between the cables, it does stretch, and you can see the volt color popping out when you're stretching it. So it allows it to really conform to your foot. The brace basically feels like a second skin rather than being something that's canvas and super bulky.